here at the HVAC Training Symposium in Florida, where we are learning new stuff all the time. And I got my good friend Chris here. And Chris, man, it's always great to see you.
The same, man. You know, I appreciate and admire your enthusiasm, and you inspire me to be a better technician all the time. So I do have to say that to you. I know you didn't ask me to do this,
That's
but
not what I wanted.
this is awesome.
I was wanting here, getting to show what you do. I love what you do because you see that bigger picture. But you're able to do that with the camera in the live settings. And I use your videos. I've told you this many times. I use your videos with my remote training because it's real active live stuff. And so I feel like what we do really connects so well because I can send what you do in the field and you're doing the same stuff I teach in the classroom. It's practical application and you're a real technician just, like me doing this stuff. And I love your video. I think you're doing a great job. I love the fact you're making a change in industry and I think that's great. But we'll start off with what is it that you do?
So I'm an HVACR service technician first, okay? And I started working for my father. I found a lot of frustration in the industry and I found a need to train service technicians, my own, with videos. I never really intended on them being public. That was I'm not gonna say I didn't think of it, but it was the initial thing was just internal. But then I saw the need and I reluctantly hit the public button. And it honestly, it never started with a mission. It just became something and it grew traction. And it's a little surreal for me to be recognized because I'm me. I'm just me. I'm just a technician who struggled a lot, and I think, man, I've made a lot of mistakes, and maybe I can prevent someone else from making those mistakes, so I'm going to catch it on film, and I'm going to try to share that. And it's evolving every day. Something new is happening, a change, I'm working with someone, I'm doing this, I get the opportunity, so I am so fortunate to be able to have the opportunity, and it's allowed myself to connect with you and other great educators, creators. It's so cool, but I'm just trying to share the little bit of knowledge that I have.
I agree the same way. I never thought I'd be here, never thought I'd be teaching and doing this other stuff. But HVAC is so great. We start out, we just get started in the field. We're just doing a job. We're trying to survive really at the beginning. And next thing we know, we want to do more stuff. And then here we are. Here you are. Do you ever think you'd be owning and running your own company or doing videos or any aspect? You think you'd be doing that?
No. My dad started the business and he's still there, but he's got 3 feet out the door. I say, okay. I mean, if I'd have let him, he'd have left tomorrow. I mean, yesterday actually. But I mean, I never thought I'd be here, but I'm so fortunate because being here affords me the opportunity. And again, I said this is evolving. It's changing every day. Again, I started making videos and it turned into something and it turned into something. And now I get to connect with peers and like-minded people. And then we brainstorm and we think of ways that we can help the industry and while helping ourselves and grow. And then it's like, wow, how could I ever be in this position? Now, we are at Brian Orr's event, the HVACR School Training Symposium. And, I would have never met Brian had it not been for social media. It's so cool that this all brought us together. Yeah. And we can all, share the little bit of knowledge that we have. And I think it's important to say the little bit of knowledge. It's a tagline, but it's so true because we need to recognize that we're never going to know everything. But my goal is to try to know everything. But I also know that I'm not going to. But it's a way of constantly knowing and understanding that it's a constant evolution. We're always working at it.
100%. And I love the community. It's really, the connectivity. I can call and ask somebody if I don't know. I can reach out to you. Hey, I have this thing I don't really understand. Can you explain it to me? And it's just so valuable being able to have that connection. Because if somebody says they know everything, don't walk away from them. Run. But the thing is that we can't learn all this. We're here, and my mind is just blown to how technical and detailed some of the other parts of the trade is that I never considered, the whole house side of it, which I thought I really understood. Then I see some new details and a whole new level and some of the refrigeration stuff. It's just, there's so much out there to learn, but it's also what makes it so exciting. It's not like we just smash it and we're done. No. That we're always learning and evolving.
And the excitement really comes out, I'm talking with someone today and we're brainstorming and we're working through ideas and stuff. And next thing you know, we're like, wow, what about this? And what about this? And we're feeding off of each other. And the cool thing is that we don't have to be people on social media to do this. We could be normal technicians, and I still consider myself a normal technician. We can all share this information with whoever we have contact with.
Absolutely.
So
right.
we all have the ability to share our knowledge, and I think more of us need to do so.
That's right. So let's go back to when you started HVAC. You said your dad had a business, and that's how you got started. What age was that? How did that work out?
So I started working for my dad probably from 6 years old on. Okay. Now, I mean, I'm a 6-year-old, right? More or less, it was an obligation. Maybe my parents were split up, so my dad would pick me up, and then on the way home, we'd run a couple service calls. And there is a funny story that I can remember getting in trouble because I'd sit on his bucket, and yes, before we had tool bags and all these fancy things, we had buckets, okay? So I'd be sitting on his bucket, and I mean, my feet probably barely touched the ground, and I can remember for getting in trouble because my responsibility was to hold the flashlight. Well, for a 6-year-old, this is a 3-cell D mag light, right? It's kind of heavy, and hey, there's a fly. Hey, there's this, and some expletives were said, and Christopher, get over here and look at this, But it worked up from there. Now, I worked with them off and on through junior high. Worked the summers. I can think of some labor law violations that were had. I can remember making $20 a day, for a lot of work, and But I mean, it was great experience. And interestingly enough, in junior high, I decided I wanted absolutely nothing to do with this. I hated it because I was upstairs changing the filters and working on the evaporative coolers and changing belts, and it was hot, it was miserable, and it wasn't fun. So after that, I went to high school, worked at a body shop for a few years, and then just decided I wanted to make a career change. So I talked with my dad, and it was about 2002. I went at it full time, and here we are now. It seemed like it happened like that. In the moment, it took forever, but man, it happened so quick. And it's just great. But I owe everything to my father. My father. I learned good things and bad things, and I learned how to adapt from those and how to research, even the stuff that he couldn't explain to me. I learned, or I dug into because I wanted more answers. So it was even his, the fact that he didn't know the answer. Yeah, that frustrated me, and I can think of how frustrated I was then. But in retrospect, he made me everything that I am.
That's awesome.
So I owe it all to my dad.
That's awesome. You see the variety of people. Everybody came from such different backgrounds. And at one time when you start out, I remember doing stuff that I hated doing. It's like, man, this is not fun at all. But then you push past that and you get to see the bigger picture and start doing the more stuff. Sometimes you have to put a little bit of time in. And I just love the variety of people that we have. Now, we got a lot of people coming in HVAC, considering HVAC. What advice would you have for somebody considering or just a new technician getting into HVAC?
Okay, so I'm going to have to explain this, but know when to ask questions and know when to keep your mouth shut, okay? But this is a great trade, and I say that in joking, but there's a time and place for questions. There's a time and place to listen and observe, okay? Obviously, getting into school, I want you to pay as much attention as possible. I want you to have passion and have interest. So there's all different ways I can answer this question, but as a new tech or new student coming into school or something like that, it's absorb as much as you can. Educate yourself as much as you can. As an apprentice working on a job site, when you're on the job site, when you get an opportunity, when you have some downtime, pay attention, listen, take pictures of everything on the roof when you can take pictures. And if you guys ever work government jobs, there's times and places to take pictures, okay? Take pictures of everything that looks interesting to you. And guess what? I hate to say this to you, but when the day's over, the day's just starting, because that's the time when you start asking the Google a lot of questions. You start researching, you look into those pictures. See, it's not the responsibility of someone else to teach you. It's your responsibility to figure out and find that knowledge, find people that can teach it to you, but then do the hard work yourself and research.
I wholeheartedly believe in that. That is awesome. We could talk HVAC all day long, and we do. We've been talking the last 3 days and nights, and we go have beers. We're still talking HVAC because this is what we love. This is our passion. It's great, a great career for us. You have a family, you have your kids, you get your wife. I
have 2 daughters and a wife, and
a new dog.
And it gives me the opportunity to feel accomplished because I can provide for my family. I can tell my family that they're going to be safe. We've got mechanisms built in that I know that we're going to be good. And then guess what? Even if I lost my job today, even if I was fired, which is not going to happen, but if I was fired, nobody can take my knowledge from me. Nobody can take my experience from me. That is mine forever. So I can take that and I can move on elsewhere. So it's an ever-evolving career. There's so many facets, so many different niches that you can get into. It's amazing. I mean, if I couldn't even explain all the different aspects. So you know what? If you're an older person that's just getting into the trade, maybe transitioning into this career, there's a place for you. Now, there's places where it might be difficult. There's places that it's going to be great. You can get into institutional work. You can get into hospital work where there's a little bit slower of a pace. And, you may not be able to move as fast as you once did. If you're a younger guy and you're really an achiever, there's all the money in the world to be made. You can break your back doing anything you want. I mean, you can make all the money you want. So it's really up to you where you want to go. But the important thing is is nobody's going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. And even when it comes to education, you can pay all the money in the world for an education. That money's not going to go anywhere if you're not invested, if you're not there to learn the knowledge and absorb it and know when to, you know, use it in different places. So it's all about what you make it. Doesn't
so
matter
true.
who you are in the trade. It's all about what you make it.
That's awesome. Be sure go to his channel, follow his page. He is well known, but a wealth of knowledge. I love his videos. It's great learning tools. And Chris, thank you so much for talking to
Hi.
everybody. I
Thank
always
you so
appreciate
much,
you,
man.
and
It's awesome.
never stop learning.
Never stop learning.